Hi, this is Kimberly. Today I'll be talking about the second week of the Gannon Stauch case, specifically days 9 through 12, the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday, February 4th through the 7th. But first, I would like to bitch and moan and gripe that on these days neither law enforcement or media were barely mentioning our favorite guilty bobblehead step malign piece of shit Grouch. I mean, I know they can't because she's not been tried yet, but I was still disappointed. The only thing they were doing is showing that video that Mr. Drayton released and saying, well, she left with Gannon and came back alone. Well, we don't really know if the coming back alone part is true. Law enforcement tends to think not, according to the arrest affidavit. But something that has occurred to me very recently was perhaps piece of bitch got back and she was in a bad mood, as she always seems to be, but maybe just kind of got out of the truck and slammed off into the house in a bad mood. And I speak from experience when I say that, because I will on rare occasion be in a bad mood and slam off to bed. Perhaps Gannon got out the other side and the camera didn't pick it up. It's just a thought. It's been said by some that he appeared to be drugged and maybe he was laying down in the back seat and she was just like, to hell with you, and went in the house. And like I said, maybe the camera didn't pick him up if he was moving slower or something, right? From the description of Gannon's bedroom, also known as the murder scene, that was someone in a very pissed off, enraged mood. Just throwing it out there. We'll get to that more later, but yeah, the only remarks are about that damn surveillance video where two people left, Gannon and promiscuity, and it appears from the bad quality grainy picture show that only one person came back. It was the evident elephant in the room that everyone was ignoring so loudly that it was hurting all of the dogs' ears in Colorado. Why are dogs always smarter than us humans? And no one ever did question Dieter, even though he was the only other individual besides Chris Asshat Watts that knew what happened in Frederick, Colorado very early on the morning of August 23rd, 2018. But it is now apparent that probability had taken a road trip at this time. Why, oh, why wasn't there someone following that mendacious bitch? It was glaringly obvious to anyone with just a tiny bit of intellect, especially after that shit show dialogue with Spencer Wilson of KKTV. Well, he just let her talk. He would just kind of get her going and then step back and just let her create the shit show all on her own. She didn't need much nudging. Her Majesty must have taken off pretty soon after that unfortunate experience. Spencer was the one that was suffering, not Chatty. She was most likely pleased with herself. She doesn't seem to be the type to become self-conscious over embarrassing behavior. Oh, she wasn't the one that was humiliated. Spencer took on that role for the both of them. This is called second-hand embarrassment. He was embarrassed for her. Oh, God Almighty. God Almighty, son. God Almighty, Kim. You've only just started and already you're off topic. Okay, moving along. Tuesday, February 4th, 2020, day 9 of the Gannon Stauch case. Investigators in El Paso County were asking neighbors of the Stauchs to check their security camera videos for possible clues in Gannon's quote-unquote disappearance. Disappearance. Why do they even use that word? That's like a fantasy word. It just, nothing or no one just disappears like on a magic show. Even then it doesn't really disappear. But even though Cruelty reported that Gannon was last seen between 3:15 and 4 p.m. on January 27th in the middle of her rape, remember Agardo? And then Gannon was like, hey, can I go to my friend's house? Well, anyway, investigators asked neighbors to review security footage in the days leading up to the day that Gannon, quote unquote, disappeared. There might have been some clues. Blues Clues. Hey, that's pretty cool. My daughter used to watch Blues Clues when she was a very, very little girl. She's 26 now. Where were we? I've lost my own self now. But yes, the police were asking all of the neighbors other than Mr. Drayton to check their videos as well in the days leading up to the 27th in case there was something, I don't know, lurking about in some of those videotapes. A neighbor that was gossiping, I mean talking way too much, said his home surveillance video contradicts the cock and bull story told by piece of shit Grouch about the last time she saw her young stepson. 49-year-old Roderick Drayton said his home surveillance video showed Naughty and Gannon get into their pickup truck that morning. When she returned home about 4 hours later, she appeared to be the only one that got out of the truck and went inside the house. That is because, why? Altogether now, because Gannon what? Disappeared. Very good. I mean, it blows her story out of the water, Drayton said. She came back at 2:19 without him, Drayton said, after he saw inconsistencies in his neighbor's story. He shared the video with police. He was liking this limelight. And if it was one of his two kids, he would want someone else to step forward and do the same, he said. To call all the media outlets and offer it up to the highest bidder. Not sure if Mr. Drayton did that, mind you. I'm just saying. But he would want someone to hamper the investigation by releasing it on the public that was already trying piece of shit in the open anything goes free for all court of Facebook. That's what he would want someone else to do, to step forward and do. Am I saying that right, Mr. Drayton? Oh, wait a minute. I seem to be getting all wound up and shit. Let me go back to this. The Denver Post said, quote, Drayton said after he saw the inconsistencies in his neighbor's story, he shared the video with police, end quote. But would one not want to share it with the police even if your own investigation did not show what you deemed to be inconsistencies? 'Cause they're trained in shit. Pisa was right about one thing, she said in her damning interview. People have been watching too many damn police shows on TV. I do concur. Then Mr. Drayton said, quote, he was a good kid, end quote. Why is he talking about Gannon in the past tense? No one knew yet that Gannon was deceased, with the exception of arrestee, the accused, piece of bitch. But she was long gone on a road trip and to enjoy the last 3 or so weeks of her freedom. Hope you made the most of it, piece of shit. And then Mr. Drayton continued, quote, they said this is the break they needed, end quote. Why are you blasting that all over the news? Do you know how to zip your mouth when there's an ongoing investigation? Every day they come out and say, this is a fucking ongoing investigation. Stop gossiping and shit. But they say it all more PC and stuff because they're not allowed to get up there and start cussing because people get offended and, you know, not everybody likes to hear Kimberly cuss like a sailor, but I'm nice, you know. Now I've gotten my feelings hurt because some of y'all don't like me cussing. Alright, well, anyway, let me get back to this shit. So, they said this is the break they needed, said Drayton. Why is it the know-it-alls don't know when to pipe down? They know it all, except when to shut the fuck up, right? Then Drayton said, "I'm hoping he's alive. It's a long shot, but I'm hoping he's alive. He is just talking too much and he's a downer. He's being very negative. Please, please do not call up Gannon's parents to comfort them, Mr. Drayton. Sometimes people should just shut the hell up. Remember that time the neighbors of a high-profile murder shut the fuck up? Me either. Nope, that's never happened." Investigators urged people, as they did every day now, to refrain from posting tips on social media where the rumor mill was in full swing, or calling up the tip line with speculation or theories, as it takes time away from the detectives who are working to review facts in the case. You know, I would love to listen to some of those tip lines. Just some of the crazy ass shit that must come across there. It probably makes Facebook look like Sunday school. Why, yes, Cathy as well called for the media just days before, urging the community to stop spreading online rumors vilifying her. No one was respecting her wishes, goddammit. Drayton told Clayton Sandell with ABC News that when he gave the video to Gannon's father, he broke down crying and said they needed to give the video to investigators. Drayton claims that Gannon's father said she lied, he didn't go to her friend's house. Again, why are you blasting this all over the fucking place, Mr. Drayton? Have you ever heard of prudence? El Paso Sheriff Sergeant Deborah Minot said the sheriff's office will not discuss the video, so stop asking about it. Wasn't Mr. Drayton supposed to keep this shit to himself? They should have just posted his phone number and said, if you have questions, give Mr. Drayton a call. He loves talking about it. Then Sergeant Minot started going off about the proliferation of speculative theories about what happened to Gannon. That sounds like the title of someone's thesis. Some of the more than 180 tips the sheriff's office has received have been theoretical, she said. She also said, "I'm sorry, I really can't explain this to you again. I'm not the dumbass whisperer. We have to vet each one of these," Minot said. "It takes time away from an investigation. We want anything that you've seen with your own eyes," she said. "I agree. People need to stop being a goddamn pain in the ass when it comes to solving cases. Then they want to bitch about why it's taken so long." A reporter asked on this day, "Are you assuming he's dead or alive?" What? What kind of dumb fuck question is that? That reporter needed to be fired on the spot that day, or at least told his or her mother. Now imagine if each reporter was only allowed one question each, and they asked that. Too bad I couldn't have been that fucking fool's boss. "Not gonna comment on that," the sheriff's spokeswoman said. "I would give anything to know what was running through her mind as she recited a very PC response. Quote, "We have the best hope that he is alive and we're gonna find him and bring him home. Each of the people that are involved in this investigation all have the same hope." End quote. Wouldn't you want to know what she thinks after, like, she gets home at night and has a glass or four of wine and then starts talking about her day at work? Oh my God. Call me Deb if you need to talk. Law enforcement first listed Gannon as a runaway. He was later listed as a missing endangered child. I know I go on about this in every video, but some still don't get what I'm going on about. They tell me, well, he was reported as a runaway. I don't care if he was reported as an unruly child that left in a hot air balloon and is refusing to come home until he can do what the hell he wants, and all he wants to do is play video games and not go to school. I don't care what he was reported as, or even what he was listed as. How are you not going to go search for a child? He was a child. period. That should be the only explanation your dumbass needs. Even if it were dark and even if there were no freezing temperatures outside, it does not matter. It does not matter if he was being a foul-mouthed, cranky, sulking brat. I don't profess to know what the magic age is. He was a young human being. Young human beings do not know how to make decisions for themselves that will keep them within safety. Their minds have only a few years of life experience. They can't provide a living for themselves. So how is one going to take care of their own basic needs? We can't assume a runaway child is hiding at a friend's house without their friend's parents knowing. I mean, that's ridiculous. They still need that, even if they can get by without a loving environment. They are in the process of developing life skills. He was a minor, a juvenile, a little kid, a young boy. This was his childhood. He was a youngster, kiddo, not even a teenager, an adolescent, a preteen, lad, young person. Adults and even older teenagers watch out for children. He was only just out of that stage where you have to be with them every second of the day when they're not in school. Like, even if they're in the house where you have to continually check on them. You know what? If I have to explain it, then you will still not get it. I don't care how many different ways I try to get it across to you. It's not going to go through that thick skull. It's a freaking common sense thing. So I could explain it until I'm blue in the face, and it still will not make sense to some of you. So click out of the video and fuck out of here. Go on, piss off. Now, to those that are still with me, we will now explore Wednesday, February 5th, 2020, Day 10 of the Gannon Stauch case. And to add fuel to the fire, Drayton's surveillance was shown on World News Tonight with David Muir. I was always taught that bad behavior should not be rewarded. But it is. That's why people continue to think rules do not apply to them. El Paso County Sheriff's Office posted on Twitter, contrary to rumors surfacing on social media, there have been no arrests in the Gannon Stauch case, and there will be no press conference today. They were fed the fuck up. Don't they sound annoyed in the post? I can almost hear their eyes rolling. All of them. The parents of Gannon, Landon Hyatt and Al Stauch, made an emotional plea to the public on this day, asking for any potential witness to come forward and imagine how afraid their son must be. The video address was released by the El Paso County Sheriff's Office and was posted on their YouTube channel. A mobile crime lab was parked outside of the family home of Gannon Stauch. El Paso County Sheriff's Office said the crime lab will continue to be at the Stauch home over the next few days to collect and process evidence. Fox 31 reported DA Dan May and detectives were inside the home. When asked if it had turned into a criminal investigation, DA May said to direct questions to the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. All of them were fed the fuck up. Again, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office is asking the public to keep their personal opinions on what happened to Gannon off of social media. Quote, unfortunately, that rumor and rhetoric is still out there, end quote. Jacqueline Kirby with El Paso Sheriff's Office said, I just would not be able to do law enforcement. It pisses me the hell off when people do shit they know they shouldn't do. And whatever agency I work for would not let me do press conferences because of my inability to recite just the facts without vulgar and coarse language, with Tourette syndrome-like outbursts peppered with conniption-like hissy fits. It just wouldn't be a good look for whatever law enforcement branch I worked for. Quote, I can't stress enough to the community, we need information that is factual stuff. Stuff you saw with your own two eyes. Did I miss something? Is she teaching kindergarten? That's the information we need, not speculation. end quote, Deborah Minot with El Paso Sheriff's Office said. She just needed to record that and have it played over bullhorn speakers on continuous loop until people stopped contributing to the rumor mill. Piece of shit. She was the main one that would stir it up and then quit talking about me. Piece of shit herself was probably the biggest contributor to the online drama. The sheriff's office said they don't want people getting involved in these rumor pages. Instead, if you have legitimate tips, you should contact officials right away. The search was being conducted in, quote, very specific areas on Wednesday. Gannon Stauch's grandparents, Landon's parents, LaRonda and Mac Bullard, joined more than 100 people in a prayer vigil in downtown Laura, South Carolina, Wednesday evening. Family and friends, most from Harvest Baptist Church and Crossway Baptist Church, heard Pastor Tommy Shelley pray with Gannon's loved ones who were present and pray for Gannon's safe return. Next, we will focus on Thursday, February 6, 2020, day 11 of the Gannon Stauch case. Search crews, along with cadaver dogs, 4 horses, and a group of about 100 volunteers were at Big Johnson Reservoir, which is about 5 minutes away from the home of Gannon Stauch. Crews searched the area 2 or 3 days prior, but came back on Thursday because they needed to secure specialized equipment to aid in their search of the reservoir, which was frozen over at the time of the first search. No dive members had entered the water. Instead, according to a tweet, they were using submersible, remotely operated vehicle equipped sonar to search the water. And at the same time, just east of the search at the reservoir, a group of Fort Carson soldiers, all volunteers, worked to comb through open fields near Fontaine and Sleepy Meadows Drive. To date, the sheriff's office had received 280 tips. Officials again discouraged speculative tips about Gannon's disappearance and telling on other people to the police. Minot also addressed what's become a rampant online rumor mill with the creation of several social media groups dedicated to exchanging information on this case. One such group had amassed nearly 15,700 members from all over the world in less than 2 weeks. Some members are reaching out to law enforcement to report conversations held on those pages. They wanted and still want people to stop doing that shit. Quote, you might see the crime lab off and on at the Stauch home, end quote, Minot said Thursday. They are collecting different pieces. It's a big, large puzzle, and we're trying to get all of those pieces together, she said. Friday, February 7th, 2020, day 12. A wintry blast brought a fresh layer of snow over Colorado Springs and surrounding areas overnight into Friday. As of 10:30 a.m., news reports from Fox 21, some neighborhoods were nearing 3 inches of snow in the Fountain area, and an additional 1 to 2 inches was projected through the early afternoon. The sheriff's office said small groups will conduct searches during the day in various areas based on leads. A tweet from the El Paso County Sheriff said, quote, our search for Gannon continues today with our concentrated smaller groups based on leads. Large group efforts have been suspended for the time being, end quote. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office said crews are out near Big Johnson Reservoir next to Powers Boulevard, south of the Colorado Springs Airport, using new equipment to continue the search. According to a tweet from El Paso County Sheriff's Office, officials from nearby Douglas and Fremont counties were joining the search, as well as volunteers from the National Guard. The crews were using rescue dogs and a utility vehicle known as Razor. Sergeant Deborah Minot of the El Paso County Sheriff's Office said neighbors would see crime lab techs return to the Stauch home in the Lorson Ranch neighborhood as they work to gather more evidence in the investigation that may help any such efforts. She confirms the case is still considered a missing and endangered persons investigation. I bet she was tired of saying the same shit day after day. I wouldn't have been able to say it without being sarcastic and shit. Sometimes even I can't tell if I'm being sarcastic or if I'm really just a bitch. According to Minot, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office is also using the resources from a 500-member-strong volunteer community. The Emergency Incident Support Group is also assisting in the search. The group makes sure the volunteers have what they need to continue the search. The El Paso and crime lab techs were collecting evidence from the Stauch residence, but there was no word on whether investigators had a search warrant or if there was a specific piece of evidence on which they were focusing. No further information about the activity at the house was released by the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. They said they had received 231 tips so far and that the crime lab unit will continue to collect evidence from the Stauch house for the next few days. While District Attorney Dan May was spotted at the Stauch home in recent days, El Paso County Sheriff's Office said that does not mean the search efforts are changing. This is fluid. It could change any minute of the day, she said. A remote-operated vehicle with sonar and video was used to look for evidence in a small pond near Gannon's house, according to a tweet by Colorado Parks and Wildlife and their Marine Evidence Recovery Team, routinely assists in searches for missing people. All of the information concerning these days in the video came from internet research, mostly consisting of news stories. As long as that damn arrest affidavit is, it does not cover every day of the investigation up until arrest. But where the fuck was piece of shit? Apparently, she had already retrieved Gannon's remains and left the state. Again, I want to know, why the hell wasn't anyone tailing her? I know from the arrest affidavit they suspected her, but she went there twice where she dropped Gannon. Once to check on him and make sure he was well hidden, and then when she went and got him to take him to Florida. After Gannon's body was recovered, law enforcement asked for any information anyone had if they spotted piece of shit in Pace or Pensacola, Florida, between the dates of February 3rd through 6th, which I've covered these dates in this video and last video. How they came up with those dates is beyond me. How did they know that's when she was in Florida? Too bad they weren't following her there. Maybe the beginning date was the last time someone saw her in Colorado, and the end date is when she was spotted in South Carolina. She's a goddamn slippery slope. In addition to being a worthless piece of shit, she serves no purpose. She and Chris Asshat Watts would make the perfect couple. He's the asshole and Pisa is, well, a piece of shit. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Pisa. Please stay tuned for several news reports covering the days discussed in this video. I've cut out some of the redundant parts. There are 2 very short Twitter videos and the plea from Landon, Al, and Lena. This 4-minute video will be shown. It's shown at almost the end of the video, and then there's 2 pressers, which were a little bit lengthy, so those 3 items are at the end if you want to just watch the news reports and skip out of there, you know. I'm sure many of you have already seen that shit, but anyway, much love and peace. Thank you for listening.
As the search for 11-year-old Gannon Stauch in Colorado Springs continues, today the search has shifted to a new surveillance video that's been released by a neighbor that could dispute his stepmother's story. I'm joined now by Denver 7's Tom Mustin. Tom, it was your excellent reporting that uncovered this video.
Well, it was a lot of good people reporting on this. Actually, we went down there yesterday in a blinding snowstorm, really not knowing what we were going to get. And so we started knocking on doors and talking to neighbors. And we had our interview already done with one neighbor. We were heading back and we got a tip that one of the other neighbors had some surveillance video. And so we thought, we're here, let's go. So we knocked on the door, and we got the person who took the video's wife. And she said, well, my husband works at Home Depot a little ways away, but I think he'll talk to you. So we got on the phone with her, kind of FaceTimed, and he agreed to talk to us. So we drove 30 minutes away to Fountain, where he was working at the Home Depot. And he basically said, here's what I have, Tom. I've got videos showing the stepmother going into the car with the little boy at the time that she said he'd left the house. The car drives off, and then I have video showing her coming back without the little boy. So that's what he said. And he said when he went and showed that video to the father, Gannon's father, that he broke down in tears and said, I knew it, I knew she was lying. So again, this is not incriminating anybody yet, because the sheriff's office is really not talking a lot, but what he said was pretty eye-opening, and it's really started a lot of doors opening today for a lot of different stations.
Raises a lot of questions
Sure.
about the timeline that the stepmother had said when he went missing.
Right.
Talking with that neighbor, what was his reaction like? Why was he even, searching through his surveillance video?
Well, he said there was just something about it. He said he was watching the coverage, the local Colorado Springs coverage. He said there was something about it that didn't add up, because he knows the little boy. He said the day that he disappeared, he saw Gannon playing with his sister outside. He said hi to him, and he said it just didn't add up. And he was home from work. He said, I have this surveillance video. I think it was pointing right there. Let me look at it. So he went to the time that she said that he'd gone to the friend's house, rewound it, saw that get in a car, and then he rerouted back to when she came back. And he said in between, we never saw the little boy anywhere. So he said, I don't know what this means, if anything, but I wanted to give it to police. And as soon as he gave the video to police on Sunday, they were there Monday all day processing evidence with the crime lab, and that's when we got there.
Wow.
So,
what was it like walking through that neighborhood, doing those door knocks? It can often be an uncomfortable thing
Right.
to interrupt someone's day, especially to talk about something that is, so disturbing.
And Jess, you've been there. You know what it's like. I mean, also the Colorado Springs station has been covering this, ad nauseum for for a week now, actually a week. And so we went down there, and I didn't know if people were going to yell at us. A couple of them just said, absolutely, do not want to talk to the media. Other ones were very receptive. And they said, look, I want to talk about what a great family this is and what a great little boy it is. So there were people that were willing to talk. You just had to, it's a numbers game, as you know, as a reporter. Just the more doors you knock on, someone will talk to you. And so we got a lot of insight into this family, and there was some conflict, apparently with the stepmother and the mom too. And there's a lot of inside baseball with the family stuff. But we were just happy that the people would chat with us, and we got lucky with Roderick Drayton. So.
Absolutely, but also great reporting, and I'm sure you're going to be knocking on a lot more doors
Yes.
tonight as you continue to follow this story. We want to thank you so much, Tom, and we're going to continue to follow this story and hope that Gannon is found safe.
Exactly.
But a neighbor looked through his security camera video and presented evidence to sheriff's investigators. Roderick Drayton told us they deemed it important.
They was like, this is the break they needed.
Investigators are continuing to go door to door, questioning neighbors, and have asked CBS 4 not to disclose the information in the video that could be related to Gannon.
I'm just hoping he's alive. I mean, it's a long shot, but I'm hoping he's alive.
The search for Gannon can develop. So does the interest in the overall case from the public.
Thousands of people voicing their opinions on social media about the missing 11-year-old.
Yeah, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office is asking people to not get involved. They say if they have a legitimate tip, you should contact officials, not post what you think happened online.
Fox 21's Courtney Fromm looked into the social media following and how it might be impacting the investigation and the public's opinion.
If you type in the name Gannon on Facebook alone, over a dozen groups show up. One group calling themselves Where is Gannon Stauch? Another, Gannon Stauch Search Party.
Unfortunately, that rumor and rhetoric is still out there.
Several of the groups have thousands of members, and it's not just locals, it's people from around the country. Lots of them posting on the pages their thoughts on Gannon's disappearance.
So we have to ask the community to entrust the investigative process. There is so much to it behind that curtain that we're not able to expose because, again, all of that could be used in this investigation, and we take that very seriously.
The El Paso County Sheriff's Office warns these types of groups aren't being used in the search for Gannon at all.
And it does take away from the ultimate goal, and that is finding Gannon. Everything else is just noise.
If it's something that's a theory or speculation, we are completely wasting the time of that investigator.
EPSO says they understand that people want to help, but posting their personal opinions online is doing the opposite.
I can't stress that enough to the community.
Crime Lab investigators spent several hours at the Stauch family home this evening. They left around 9 o'clock tonight, though the El Paso County Sheriff's Office won't get specific about what they are looking for. Also, when District Attorney Dan May was confronted by reporters this afternoon, he would not specify why he paid a visit to the family home. The neighborhood has rallied around the Stauch family. This has been an area of intense search over the last week. Ribbons and porch lights here are blue, Gannon's favorite color. The latest public development is surveillance video from the next door neighbor. It appears to show Gannon getting into a pickup truck that the neighbor says belongs to the boy's stepmother, Letecia Stauch. The truck returns to the home without the boy about 4 hours later. Letecia has not responded to our request for comment. As of tonight, law enforcement has not announced any arrests or suspects, but the El Paso County Sheriff's Office says they are continuing to search for Gannon and that they've received 231 tips that they say they will vet, with the hope of bringing Gannon home safely.
Tonight we spoke with a former law enforcement officer about the significance of video like this.
When we get a good piece of video and we really don't have leads or we have a suspicion but we don't have the evidence to back it up to this point, and we have a piece of video that really supports what's the direction that we believed it was going or takes us in another direction altogether, those things can be really critical to solving a case.
On the video she was saying, Gannon, come home. It's like, you know where he's at because you took him someplace. So you know where he's at. So don't come home, tell us where he is.
And that's next door neighbor who recorded that video. We do want to be clear, police have not identified Letecia Stauch as a person of interest in her stepson's disappearance. She wrote on Facebook the day after her stepson disappeared, offering another version of what may have happened. She said, quote, "We do know he was at a store last night in Colorado, but that the camera did not pick up the car. He had to be in the car. We don't know with who or why, because he wasn't old enough to have friends with the car that anyone was aware of." There's obviously a lot more to that post. You can read it on our website. The Stauch family tells the problem solvers they plan to release a new statement tomorrow regarding that search for Gannon. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office has declined to comment on whether they spoke to Letecia after receiving that video.
Blue lights line the homes on Gannon Stauch's block more than a week after he was last seen by his stepmom.
I'm afraid that I would never hear.
I don't think I'm going to like the outcome, and I don't think anybody's going to like the outcome.
Private investigator David Marshburn specializes in missing person cases.
If there's some kind of foul play involved, that's my specialty, is foul play.
The El Paso County Sheriff's Office maintains this is not a criminal investigation, even as detectives pull evidence out of the home. Marshburn has solved several high-profile cases, sometimes months or even a year after the person is reported missing.
I like to give law enforcement time to do their thing and not step on their toes or get in their way now.
He says he has a knack for getting people to open up and share things they wouldn't tell law enforcement.
I can focus on one thing and catch all the details and do the profiling of reading someone, and you have to have your heart in it.
And he feels he could do the same in Gannon's case.
If the family called you up and they said, hey, we want you to come out here, is this the kind of case that you would take on?
It definitely is the type of case I would take on.
All right, so something interesting that I want to point out. I mentioned that crime lab van left just a short while ago. We did just see a white vehicle pull up to the house, go inside the garage. We didn't see who got out of that vehicle because they closed the garage door almost immediately. I also want to point out there are no suspects in this case right now. And I asked about the kind of evidence that they're searching for in the house. They told me that it could be something like a scent, anything that could help lead them to where Gannon is. They are still searching, but right now their search is focused on very specific areas based on leads and tips that they receive.
There are new developments in the search for that 11-year-old boy in Colorado, missing for more than a week now and in need of special medication. ABC News Tonight obtaining home surveillance, and authorities now asking, could this be the last time he was seen getting into a car with his stepmother? Here's ABC's Clayton Sandell.
Tonight, investigators searching for 11-year-old Gannon Stauch say they have a possible new clue. It comes from neighbor Roderick Drayton, who searched his security camera footage after Gannon went missing. He spotted him at 10:13 a.m. the day he vanished, seen getting into this red pickup truck with his stepmother, Letecia Stauch.
Gannon comes out, he gets in the truck, and then she come back in the truck and they leave.
Stauch told investigators her stepson was last seen between 3:15 and 4:15, but Drayton says his video shows her coming home at 2:19 p.m., and there's no sign of Gannon.
I walked over to his father's house, knocked on the door, and I said, here's some video that you might want to see. He broke down, he was like, she lied, and he was like, let's call investigators.
Investigators descended on the home Monday.
Any bit of information is very valuable to this case.
Stauch telling investigators and KKTV she doesn't know where Gannon is.
I would never, ever hurt this child.
The boy's biological mom and dad desperate for answers.
I'm begging. Bring my baby home.
We tried reaching Gannon's stepmother. She did not return our calls. In the meantime, police say they have no suspects. David?
Clayton.
Down in the Springs tonight. And Jason, investigators are now looking at that video.
Yes, that video was given to investigators here at the El Paso County Sheriff's Office yesterday, the same day that crime scene investigators were back out at the house looking for new evidence. And if that video shows what the neighbor who took it says it does, it could change everything.
The lights on the street where Gannon Stauch lives are all blue, a show of his favorite color, with the hope that he'll soon come home and see them. As the snow continues to fall here in Colorado Springs, it's another night that the Stauch family wonders where their son is. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office, with the help of Colorado Parks and Wildlife, used a special remote-controlled submarine to search a reservoir near the family's home today. The drone has sonar equipment attached to it that helps crews see if there's anything in the lake. Divers have not been called in to help, but more than 100 volunteers, 4 deputies on horseback, and 3 canine units searched for Gannon today. They searched in the same area they combed just a couple of days ago.
Originally, when we were out here, we did a thorough job. However, today we're right back to doing a secondary thorough job, not because we missed anything last time, it's because there's certain equipment that we were able to get from our collaborative partners today.
The El Paso County Sheriff's Office says this is still a missing endangered child case and there are no suspects related to Gannon's disappearance. They say the investigation into the case and the efforts to find him are taking place simultaneously. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office says they've gotten 280 tips in relation to Gannon's disappearance. Yesterday we saw a crime lab in front of the house here. Tonight it's all quiet.
Gannon Stauch, only 11 years old, has been missing for more than a week now. His parents, desperate to find him, made a video begging people to get involved. The El Paso Sheriff's Office shared the video with everyone earlier today. Throughout the week, the crime lab has been parked outside of Gannon's home. Well, today the district attorney was among those inside Gannon's home. CBS 4's Karen Morfitt is live in the Springs for us tonight, spending the day there. And Karen, we don't typically see that, the DA there.
No, Karen, and some have raised the question, does that relate to potential charges? But, something's happening behind us right now. The sheriff's office, it appears, just arrived at the home. I wanted to step off so you guys could see that. There was some screaming. We're going to get back to you as soon as we figure out what's going on, Karen.
It's been more than a week since 11-year-old Gannon Stauch was last seen. While investigators continue their search for evidence, his parents continue their plea to the public.
I don't even have answers for my feelings other than I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I will never hear his voice, that I will never hear him run and say, "Mommy."
For several days, the Metro Crime Lab has been parked outside of the family's home. That, paired with a visit from the district attorney on Wednesday, is causing a flood of questions from the community and unrest for the family.
The kid just doesn't disappear and no one sees him. It's not how this works. So if you have anything that's credible, if you're afraid, don't worry about it. Imagine my son, how afraid he is.
Investigators with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office have received more than 200 tips from the public, following up on each one, and will continue to do so until they know what happened to Gannon.
I'm not giving up hope because my son is full of hope.
Now, Karen and Jim, we just wanted to get back to you live out here. We are in front of Gannon's home right now, and it appears 2 El Paso County Sheriff's marked cars pulled up down the street from this house. The garage has been left open for some time since we've been here tonight, and did walk up to the garage and started yelling at someone inside the garage. So we're going to keep monitoring this. We have not seen anyone come out since that yelling happened. There was a flash, but we will continue to monitor this and keep you updated both here and online at cbsdenver.com.
All right, Karen, thank you so much for your live reporting for us tonight.
9 days since an 11-year-old boy disappeared. A neighborhood in Colorado Springs is wrapped in blue.
This neighborhood basically gives you a true example of who my son is.
Gannon Stauch loves the color blue as he loves video games, coding, and riding bikes with his little sister.
He holds his job as being Big Bubba very important, and for him not to be able to talk to his sisters has to be hurting him.
Gannon's parents, Landon and Al, shared this video through the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, just hours before the crime lab was spotted outside the family home.
No question should be directed to the Sheriff's Office.
El Paso County District Attorney Dan May spent time inside the home, but wouldn't take questions before he left.
Hey, so if you see that group of people down there, those are a group of volunteers, part of 52 volunteers that are out here searching off of Powers and Fontaine today. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office confirms they are searching for Gannon. The reason why is that reservoir right there. That is Big Johnson Reservoir. In the last couple days, it has been frozen over completely solid. So that's why the crews are out here today. They say that they're not based off of any new leads or any new tips, just that reservoir was frozen over. So now that it's unfrozen and they have some room to search, they're going to search this area again today. So again, Powers and Fontaine, we have some search parties in the area they're continuing their search for Gannon.
Breaking right now at 6, the search continues for a missing 11-year-old boy in Colorado Springs.
Gannon Stauch has not been seen since Monday afternoon. News 5's Katie Blaze tracking the story. She's live at Restoration Church, where a prayer vigil just about to get underway. Katie.
Yeah, guys, that's right. I'm told that prayer vigil starts here at 6:30 tonight. A lot of people already showing up for that, and it's just one of many community efforts to support the Stauch family. And right now, there's not a whole lot of new information on where Gannon might be, but the community not giving up. Starting this morning at about 8, hundreds of people came together in the Lorson Ranch neighborhood to help search for the young boy, taking time off of work and school to lend a hand to the Stauch family. I'm told people who don't even know the family are trying to do their part to help one of their own.
There's just a lot of people that just want to find this little boy, and anything we can do, we're going to do it.
Neighbors say everyone is hoping for the best and that Gannon comes home soon. Again, that prayer vigil starts here tonight at Restoration Church at 6:30. Gannon's dad invites anyone who'd like to attend and say a prayer for his son. We'll have much more on the vigil and the search coming up tonight on News 5 at 10. Always watching out for you, El Paso County. Katie Blaze, News 5.
Katie, thanks. And the El Paso County Sheriff's Office confirming late this afternoon their major crimes unit now leading that investigation to find the 11-year-old boy.
As Chief Investigative Reporter Eric Ross explains, 48 hours later, sheriff's deputies are no closer to solving this case.
Good evening. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office is treating Gannon Stauch's case as a runaway and nothing more than that at this hour. Now, you may be wondering why a major crimes unit would get involved in this case if foul play was not suspected. Well, here's the deal. A spokesperson for the sheriff's office said unlike patrol deputies who have to move on to other cases and respond to other calls, major crimes deputies can focus more time on one specific case such as this. They also took into account other factors like the child's age and cold weather, which could pose health risks if Gannon is outdoors for an extended period of time. Now, we can confirm the major crimes unit took over this investigation yesterday morning around 11 a.m. We're told about 5 officers are actively working this case. Now, back out here outside the sheriff's office, they are encouraging anyone who may have seen anything out of the ordinary to give them a call.
How do I describe my G-man, my Gannon? Gannon's my hero. I love him so much. He's not only my hero, he has multiple people that call him his hero as well. He has so many family members that just look up to him at such a small age. He's full of life. He's happy. He's energetic. He loves sports. He loves Sonic. He loves going outside, playing with his friends, his sister, his neighbor, especially Braden. This neighborhood basically gives you a true example of who my son is. Everybody coming together, all the smiles that people have. This is why I have hope, because I feel it. This is Gannon truly speaking to our community. Gannon he loves blue, he loves Sonic, he's into coding, he loves riding his bicycle with his sister, and I know that he's missing that right now. He holds his job as being Big Bubba very important, and for him not to be able to talk to his sisters has to be hurting him. This week has been awful. It's been more than a roller coaster ride. It's been more than emotional mess. I don't even have answers for my feelings other than I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I will never hear his voice, that I'll never hear him run and say, "Mommy," that I'll never hear those corny jokes that he always tells every single day. He has to tell me a joke. He looks forward to telling me something silly. And I'm afraid that I may never see that again or hear it. I don't want to believe that, because that means that I'm giving up hope, and I'm not giving up hope because my son is full of hope. So I'm urging anyone that has any leads, credible leads, if you're too afraid because you know something, a kid just doesn't disappear and no one sees him. It's not how this works. So if you have anything that's credible, if you're afraid, don't worry about it. Imagine my son, how afraid he is. Imagine how afraid Gannon is. So please call, please write. If you need to have someone else to do it for you, please do. Because my son deserves to be here. He deserves to be here. Please call the El Paso Sheriff's County and let them know. And I thank you guys, the community, for what you've done, because this is Gannon. This is who he is. And I thank you guys so much.
When Gannon was born, he weighed only 1 pound and 6 ounces, and even today he's still our miracle child. He still is. And he's such a happy child, and he just brings life to every party. His smile, even today, is keeping us going. His infectious smile brings me joy every time I think about it. The past 8 days have been, as Landon said, a roller coaster of emotions. Sometimes we jump in for joy because we get an information that we might think is a break in the case, and then the next minute we get we see something or get information that just breaks our heart into a million pieces again. But through all this, just know that your thoughts and your prayers and your messages, keep them coming, because even if we don't respond, we are receiving them, and that has given us strength to get through this. And I do want to say I'm so proud of Lena, my little baby girl here, and of Landon, my children's mother. They've been so strong through this, stronger than I would have ever thought that I could have ever been, and I'm getting strength from them as well. As I said, please keep sending your thoughts and your prayers, because we are receiving them. And if you have any information at all that could help, please reach out to the El Paso County Sheriff's Office with only credible information, but any information that you think may help. Thank you so much. Your turn, baby.
I love you, Baba.
Concentrated areas, because that investigation led us to those concentrated areas. So just because you don't see the larger groups, you don't see the horses, you don't see the dogs or the search and rescue team, that does not mean that we are not focusing on this investigation. We're absolutely doing that.
What could you tell us about having the crime lab at the family's house twice yesterday? First all day and then back at night.
Mm-hmm. So the crime lab is used to, again, get pieces that's a part of the investigation, and that's what they're used for. So they're out there, and they ensure they're doing this with the proper measures. They're using gloves, they're doing different things, because they might come across something that might be part of the investigation. So it's very serious work that they have to do step by step, and that might be a need. Part of the investigation requested for them to be out there, and that's why they were there.
Surgeon, what can you tell us about this video?
So the Sheriff's Office will not be commenting or confirming any specifics of the video that was shared to the media. What we can let you know is that it is in fact a part of our investigation.
Do you dispute the neighbor's description of what is seen in that video?
We can't confirm any specifics.
How big a piece of that video is in your investigation?
So right now I can't give you a scale on how big one part is in comparison to another, but please understand, again, any piece in this investigation is big for us. So any even eyewitness, a possible person that maybe they saw somebody in the neighborhood, something suspicious, even if to everyday citizens it might appear to be very small, it is to us a very big part. So this video may be a big part in that investigation. Therefore, we can't confirm any specifics on it.
Is the timeline now into question, being put into question?
The timeline in this entire case is going to be looked at. So our investigators are looking at everything step by step.
So just going back to the original release, it says that he was last seen January 27th in his home by his stepmother between 3:15 and 4 o'clock. Is that still accurate?
That piece, yes, that was reported to us the day of, and that piece is what is part of the investigation.
Is there a suspect at this time?
No, I cannot discuss that right now.
People of interest or persons.
So please understand that persons of interest could be any person that has information to any case. And so as any investigation, our wonderful, talented detectives take tips and leads and they go until it's exhausted. So any bit of it, they'll go until it's exhausted. And then once that happens, during that path of the investigation, we may come across persons of interest. And then again, the specifics of those names of persons of interest, we will not share because again, it's a part of the investigation.
And we do not have any suspects at this time? None.
Okay.
Talk to us about the massive social media following, I guess, this case has brought. There's several search groups for him, community members coming up with all of these hypotheses,
Yes.
what they think. Is that taking away from your investigations?
Yes, so speculation is one thing, and theories and these kinds of ideas is one thing for someone to have. When they provide that to the sheriff's office, we take it seriously. So any information to any law enforcement agency, if you have a tip or a lead, we have to vet each of those. We have to ensure that it is factual and it takes time away from our detectives to try to figure out if this is a good lead or if it's not. And the time that they spend doing that absolutely will take them away from that investigation. So speculation and theories is not something we want you to report. We want you to report the factual information, things that you've seen, and it might not even be that Monday. It could have been the week prior. Anything that you might have seen with your own eyes is information that we would like for you to provide, not speculation and not theories.
So like this neighbor in his video.
So if we could also talk about, as what Lieutenant Palmer said in the press conference, although we have to make social media part of the investigation and put it in the investigation, that no leads anymore are going to be followed up unless they are called into the tip line or emailed into the tip line.
Okay.
I think that's really important.
Okay.
So if people really want to find Gannon,
use those two methods. So we put out social media updates on Gannon Search, and we use social media for the sharing purposes. Comments sometimes are great, but please understand that tips that you provide will only be taken in two methods, and that's through our tip line, which is 719-520-6666, or through our email, which is tips@elpasoco.com. So if they message us, they're using social media to comment, we are not taking those. We are only taking it from those two methods.
And then yesterday, I was the first person to bring you this video,
Yes.
and you guys asked me to not share it because you said this will maybe hurt the investigation.
Yes.
Now we're seeing some station puts it on their,
Yes.
website. It's going everywhere. What's your take on this?
And so we understand that media, you guys are great to work with, and we understand that you were the first that called us and actually asked us what we thought about it. And we truly appreciate the relationship that you built with us by asking us first before putting it out there. And please understand, we wanted that kept. We wanted that kept because it is a big part of our investigation. And to share it immediately, we hope will not be detrimental. We hope it will not jeopardize the investigation, but the reason we asked you not to do that was because there is potential for that. And as a law enforcement agency, that's the worst that we could do, is to purposely, intentionally jeopardize any investigation.
So are you still asking us not to put this video out?
Yes, if someone were to call me today and ask prior to putting that out there, I would ask the same thing.
I know that you don't want to discuss the specifics of it, but as you mentioned, facts are important in this case, and
Yes.
how specifically, the person who took that video describes this is a fact of the case. So a neighbor describes this video as showing the stepmother and the 11-year-old boy leaving the house. Several hours later, that stepmother coming back alone.
Yes.
Do you dispute that description of
Well,
this video?
and just understand, sir, so when we have factual information provided, if it's on a public forum, that could be scrutinized when law and order takes place. So information that is factual, if it is displayed to where we're seeking potential justice, we have to do it in an organized effort. We don't want that on a public forum.
But if his description is wrong, you would want that out there too. If he's describing this as something that it's not, you would correct us. So we're just trying to make sure that his description is accurate. And is it accurate?
Again, I can't confirm the specifics in the video. I can't, and to tell you the truth, I haven't seen the video myself. I can't confirm it, and the sheriff's office as a whole will not be commenting on the video that was shared to the media.
I have a couple of questions about the stepmother. I read that she rented a car on the day that he went missing. Is that accurate?
And that's part of the investigation too.
And is she still cooperating?
Part of the investigation.
Okay, so you can't say whether or not
we
she's
won't.
cooperating. I know before, I think you said that she was.
And a lot, and any bit of info that might be given may portray the wrong judgment, and we don't want to do that as the sheriff's office.
Is he still considered a missing persons investigation, or has it become criminal?
It is missing persons, endangered, because of those factors, again, with the weather, his age, and medication he was taking, and also the time frame.
And so going into their homes, I mean, we saw obviously their video of Metro Crime Lab there and everything.
Yes.
You know, what would you say to the community saying, yeah, this isn't criminal, but you do have investigators going in and taking evidence out of the home? Can you talk to that a little bit?
And you know, just as an example, we used a search and rescue dog who had a really strong scent, and we get pieces of information that might not be criminal, that might just lead to where he might be, those kinds of things. And so when we get those pieces of evidence, it has to be maintained and protected, and again, that's why we use Crime Lab. They're really good with that. They're experts in the field, and that's why we do that. So it might not be criminal, and there are some cases where Crime Lab is involved and it's not criminally involved.
To all the people who are following this and praying for this young boy's return, just like everyone in the community is, I mean, is there anything that you can give us for an update for them? Do you feel like you're getting closer? Do you hope something will come up in the next few days?
Just please entrust the process. And I understand, you know, coming from an agency, there are so many of us that are parents here, and we understand this is a devastating, you know, just to imagine, it's very devastating if that were you in the parents' shoes. And so please understand that this is sometimes a slow process, and I know that might be frustrating, but we have very skilled people here at our agency, and we have skilled resources that we're using with the FBI, with the Colorado Springs Police Department, and a lot of different resources that we're using to put the best method together, because again, all of them, each of them that have put passion into this case are thinking of Gannon, and it doesn't matter what piece that they have of this pie, they are thinking of Gannon and they want to bring him home safely.
Can you just kind of reiterate for some of the people the timeline? You know, I think we've all heard a little bit of a different thing. He was at school, he wasn't at school, he was on a hike. Can you go into any of that?
We can't, unfortunately, I can't talk about those specifics.
Are you still saying that he went missing between 3 and 4 o'clock?
That was the only information relayed to us, and therefore the first day that the reporting party called in, that was indicated to us. That was the bit of information we had to work with. There were some other factors and information obtained during that call that we type-coded him as a runaway because of information we received.
And when did you get that? When was he reported missing?
That was the evening of Monday the 27th, which was approximately 6:55 p.m.
And that was reported by the stepmother, is that correct?
Yes.
So that original timeline that was just asked about is based upon the initial call from the stepmother?
Yes.
If this video from the neighbor would have been released on Monday when he was still considered a runaway, would it have been in the public's eye?
I'm not sure. Not sure.
Are you assuming he's dead or alive?
I'm not going to comment on that at this point.
You know, we always hope.
We have, yep, we have the best hope that he is alive and we're going to find him and bring him home. And that is, again, each of the people that are involved in this investigation all have that same hope.
Have you spoken to the stepmother since that piece of video came to light yesterday?
I can't comment on that.
And just one last question. The neighbor that we spoke to said that when detectives originally came to his house, they looked at those hours around 3 and 4, and then it wasn't until later that he decided to look back and see that video. So are you guys looking at a wider scope now that you know that
I won't be able to comment on that either.
Do you encourage people to do what this neighbor did and to look back and see if there is any other info they can give to you guys?
Absolutely. So again, just not any bit of information could help. So if you do have those video cameras and you live in that neighborhood, we absolutely ask that you look through those. And I know some of them are timed out, 7-day captures and things like that. So it might not just be a focus on the Monday, focus on days prior. Anything, any bit of information is very valuable to this case, and to provide that to us, not in a public forum, but to provide that to us through those 2 outlets that I shared earlier.
Anything else?
No.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
People are out. I'm the one that you're like really connected to.
Okay, I'm like, I'll take that one off first. Yep. I remembered that one. Yep. Because if I take one slight step back, it might take your camera.
I always forget. Yeah, like we saw walking around a week.
And then here's one.
Is there still a command center up at the right near the jail?
And then this one is, I believe, Denver 7s.
I was at MOCOM yesterday, which was in a different location, so I don't know if they broke down. Yeah, because we went to go try to see
Here we
everything
go.
today.
Is that one you were? I think that.
All right, Sergeant, have you first say and spell your first and last name for us?
Sure, it's Sergeant Deborah Minott, DEBORAH
And Sergeant Minott, what can you tell us about the latest on the search for Gannon?
So just to let you know, as I've said before, this is very fluid. So initially we had large groups of search parties out. And then yesterday we really had a concentrated effort and smaller groups of searches, and today we're right back to a larger group. So today we have approximately 52 volunteers. That is our search and rescue, El Paso County Sheriff's Office search and rescue team, and we also have volunteer National Guard members out here assisting. So 52 of those. We also have 4 horses out today and 2 dogs, and 1 utility vehicle, a razor, is out today too.
What kind of dogs are these?
It's a part of the search and rescue team. I don't know their specialties at this point.
Did you have some folks in the area, the Johnson Reservoir?
Yes, yes, in this vicinity. So it's this entire vicinity. We were out here initially 2 days ago. Was that 2 days ago, 3 days ago?
Yeah.
Okay. And originally when we were out here, we did a thorough job. However, today we're right back to doing a secondary thorough job, not because we missed anything last time. It's because there's certain equipment that we were able to get from our collaborative partners today. So those different equipment pieces we were able to do. So again, we're going to do a secondary thorough search in this area, but it does not mean that we didn't do a good job the first time around. It's just we have different equipment today.
Why are you focusing on this area?
It's all a part of the investigation. So with those leads that I was letting you guys know, any positive lead that we get, we take those avenues until it's exhausted. We don't quit on those good positive leads that we get. We have to ensure that everything is met through that lead, and that's exactly what we're doing today.
Has weather played a role in hindering the search or delaying anything, or what can
You know, it doesn't delay it in any way, because again, as we've said, in blizzard conditions, it does not matter. If we get a good lead, we're going to be out here. But again, you can see it's colder. Different equipment is needed, different resources, the way that we dress to prepare to come out here, possibly different foods to kind of keep our volunteers a little warm out here. So there are differences in that aspect, but as far as our search and our efforts, that is not going to stop at all.
Okay,
Can I add another mic to you?
Yes.
In the update yesterday, you talked about how the search and the investigation are happening simultaneously. How is that affecting resources for the sheriff's office?
Just to let you know, we have a great number of resources right now. So right now in a different office, a secondary location, we've got the investigative piece. We've got the FBI assisting us there, and they're working right now. They're brainstorming, they're doing a lot of different things, and different folks within that are assigned to different tasks. So again, that's going on in those closed door rooms, and then here is that other secondary parallel. Like I said, they're going parallel with each other, is continuing out here in this effort.
You talked about how wide this group of volunteers searching is out here. Are the majority of them local, or do you have volunteers who have come from farther places?
So we have had the Douglas County Search and Rescue Team assist us. We've also had the Fremont County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue Team assist us. So it's going as far as those reaches, and we have so much support, not only from the law enforcement resources, but also county resources, and we have the community support, which is wonderful. And so again, the positive leads that we can get, any bit of information can help in this case. And we encourage those folks that actually have good, legitimate, credible information that, like I said, when they've seen things with their own eyes, they've witnessed different things. If they call that into our tip line, we will absolutely look into those leads. So we entrust that the community will continue to do that and help us out with that.
Can you talk about the Stauch home, and will detectives be there today, or what the plan is?
They possibly will be, so you might see the crime lab off and on at the Stauch home, and that is all a part of the investigation. And they're collecting different pieces, and it is a big, large puzzle, and we're trying to put all of those pieces together. Our number one goal at the Sheriff's Office is to bring Gannon home safely. Every single one of us that has been a part of this investigation, a part of the search efforts, all of us have Gannon in the forefront of our minds, and we want to bring him home to his family.
At this point, is it still just a missing persons case, or has it turned criminal in any nature?
No, it is still considered a missing persons case, endangered child at this point.
Any suspects at this time?
No.
Is the family staying at the home? Why the crime scene units are there?
I'm not really sure, but it is very important to kind of give them space. So as a media outlet, if you guys could do us a favor and give the family some space. This is a time that is very difficult for them. It is an emotional roller coaster, as you can imagine. I couldn't imagine what the family is going through. And so if you could give them a little bit of space, we would appreciate that as an agency. And also, as far as where they're staying, I don't know.
Can you give us a comment on District Attorney Dan May being at the home for an hour last night?
And he did stop by, that's correct, and that doesn't change our focus. And the District Attorney's Office is assisting us, so they're assisting by taking those tips and assisting in any effort that we might have, so they are helping us out. It doesn't change anything in this case, though, so it is still considered a missing person, endangered child at this time.
You said he was part of the task force or part of the team. What exactly is his role then?
We don't have a specific name for that task force, but as far as different tasks go, in this investigation, that's more than likely what he was talking about, but there's not a specified task force per se with their assistance.
Have you seen detectives come out with bags and all the different stuff as part of the investigation? Can you just shed any light on if that's typical, or is this more than coming out?
And again, we want to be very careful, and we want to make sure that these folks are experts in the field. They go out there to the home and they're ensuring that every piece is identified. And so I can't speak on the pieces that they're removing from the home, exactly what they're looking at, because again, all of that is part of the investigation.
Sergeant, you talked about credible tips earlier. Can you just reiterate to the community how important it is to not spread the rumors? Obviously, we saw the press release you guys sent out yesterday about rumors, and just talk about that and how it could affect your guys' investigation.
Yes, so as an example, when those tips come in, we have a spreadsheet built. We have to enter every tip that we receive, and then we have to decide which one is credible, which one is not. We have received things as somebody just giving us kind of suggestions. Somebody called in and said to search every trunk in the city. And so we have to then take that, log it in, put it all in, then have a conversation with someone else on if we're going to do this or we're going to take this lead. That takes precious time away from the investigation, even as simple as a suggestion. We're not asking for suggestions, we're not asking for theories or speculation. We are asking for factual information that you saw with your own eyes. That is what we need. And if you waste the time of these detectives, you're taking time away from the potential of us finding Gannon. And it's so important that you understand that. Your speculations and your theories that you have on your private groups are one thing, but when you reach out to law enforcement and you leave those messages, understand we have to do the extra due diligence into looking at those tips. So please, please, only credible, factual information.
How long are the search and the volunteers going to be working out here today, and do you expect to come back? This is your second time, as you talked about before.
There have been times they were out here for 10 hours, 12 hours, and it depends. It depends on the efforts. We have, again, a pool of 500 plus community volunteers that at any point, if we decide to go to larger areas, if we decide to have the assistance of those individuals, we will reach out to them. But 500 plus from our community, again, is a huge positive effort, and we appreciate the community by doing that.
Can you comment on the surveillance video from the neighbor and just the fact that he's saying that the timestamp just doesn't match up with the statement that Gannon's stepmother had given?
And that's a part of the investigation. So the Sheriff's Office will not be commenting on that video or confirming any parts of that video at this time.
The person who had that video, he said that investigators didn't approach his house and ask for that surveillance video until the Friday following the Monday when Gannon was reported missing. Why did it take so long?
Again, I don't know the specifics. I don't even know if that's true. It's a part of the investigation.
You mentioned different technology and tools because of the weather. Can you go into what those kind of specifically are, what your search looks like?
Yeah, and I won't be able to go into those specifics. It is through a fire department, and so I'm not sure what kind of equipment it is or the specifics of it. More than likely we'll get that information and put that in our daily press release on this later, but I don't have the specifics of what they're using.
I think you've spoken to drones being used in the search. We hear helicopters and planes flying over. Anything in regards to that being used in the search effort?
Are we using that today?
We're not using helicopters today, no, or drones today.
So no helicopters, no drones today, but we have used them in the initial 2 days.
Drones, not helicopters.
We had Flight for Life on one day assisting with the search.
Yep.
Speaking to the location of where we are you able to speak to the reservoir and how that kind of plays into the search or the efforts today?
You know, right now it's a large piece that is frozen, and maybe that equipment that we're utilizing is going to be used for those removal of the big blocks of ice there. I'm not, again, sure if that's the case, but we'll let you guys know. We'll give you guys an update if that is the case, but it is frozen right now.
We know Gannon relies on certain medication, and we can't get into that with HIPAA, but is it thought to be that could be life-threatening if he's not able to get his medication now for the past 10 days?
And we won't be able to release the information on the special medication he takes.
Is it life-threatening, or is it vital for his well-being?
You know, I don't believe it is, but I'll get a confirmation on that.
Again, talk about the command center. Talk about where we are and the community's involvement. Got here a little bit late, so go over that.
So absolutely. So currently we have 52 volunteers out. That's search and rescue as well as volunteer National Guard folks out here. And you know, the weather changes as far as the attire that they have. We have to ensure certain things are told to the volunteers before they go out, because again, that could potentially cause them some medical issues or some concerns if they're not bundled up appropriately. Other than that, we are out here doing a secondary thorough search. We've been out here before, but the reason why we're out here doing that secondary search is because of special equipment we were able to get from a collaborative partner of ours.
Saw the sheriff's office with a horse trailer. Are they on mounted patrols?
Yes, so the mounted trailer that you see back here is from our mounted unit. So we have 4 of those horses out today with deputy sheriffs that are their handlers.
And with weather expected to move in, what are the difficulties that are going to be enhanced, you know, moving forward?
So again, the weather will not deter us from this search. It will not stop us from searching for Gannon. We are going to be out here regardless. We're just going to end up adding more layers possibly to our attire and doing some other, other things to ensure that we're warm and we're safe. But again, we are all in this for Gannon and for his family, and we appreciate the community's support in this effort, and we will keep you guys updated. Again, anytime we have any big updates or even slight updates, we'll put that out, and that's credible from the sheriff's office.
And are there divers in the water? Have you put divers in the water yet?
No.
Are there plans to do so?
I'm not sure because it's frozen again. It's frozen solid right now,
Not
so
at this point.
not at this point.
Is finding Gannon your top priority right now at the sheriff's office?
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. And again, every person that has effort into this investigation has Gannon at the forefront of our minds because we want to bring him home safe to his family.
And going off that, we know the community is just heartbroken over this, and they probably feel helpless in some way, wanting to do something. Do you know if the family is in need of anything at this time that community members?
I can ask them. I can definitely reach out to the family to see if there is some sort of support, and we could put that on our Twitter if that is the case. So I'll reach out to the family today to see if that is something that they need.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
The investigation.
Yes, yes. Okay.
If anybody wants to help out, you can't just hit the woods, right? You got to get certified.
There's a vetting process, and so right now we have 500 plus volunteers, citizen volunteers, and there is a vetting process, and that's for the safety of all of those individuals that's involved in the search. And so that application can be found on our Twitter page, and then just complete it. You'll get an email response if you are cleared and ready to go, and then we just have that pool kind of on standby in case we do need them.
I know that earlier you said that you can't speak to the specific training of the dogs that you have seen out here, but do you know, I mean, do they have a sense of Gannon that they are kind of using in their search efforts today, or is there something else that they're assisting with?
I'm not sure. Initially, I know the first day that they used the dogs, they did get a scent, and so